Welcome to Shaq's house. Shaq's house. That's our Shaq. You're now in Shaq's house.
What's up, Shaq Houses? How you doing? It's your boy Shaq House here. Hope your week has been going well. Hope your weekend has been going well as well too. Right now, we're going to talk about one of my favorite characters in Marvel ever since I was in elementary school. He's his own best friend, and And unlike that rap guy from Twisted, this is the real deal. This is Jamie Madrox right here, the Multiple Man. Take a look. Known as the Multiple Man, Jamie Madrox possesses the mutant ability to generate exact physical and mental duplicates of himself upon impact. He uses the kinetic energy he receives upon impact as a catalyst for a body-wide cellular replication process. He disperses some of the impact during this process, protecting him from a degree of harm, but every impact, no matter how large or how small, produces only one duplicate. A molecular replication field extends out from Jamie's body, automatically duplicating additional matter in close contact with him whenever he duplicates. As a result, his duplicates are generated wearing the same clothes that he is, but also if his hands are tied or bound in some way, the ropes or handcuffs will materialize on the duplicate as well. Though they regularly materialize right next to each other, Jamie can apparently control where a duplicate emerges in relation to himself. By sliding his finger under a door frame and triggering his power, he can will the duplicate to appear on the other side of the door as opposed to next to him in the hallway. Each of his duplicates are capable of independent thought, feeling, and action, though they're generally guided by whatever decisions prompted the original to create them in the first place. They themselves can create duplicates, and though the original limit was 40 duplicates, that limit has changed, and now the upper number of duplicates that Multiple Men can create is now no longer known. Each duplicate is Jamie Madrox's complete copy up until the moment they split. And the longer the duplicates remain in existence, however, the more independent they become, displaying unique personality traits and individualism. A running quirk in the duplication process occasionally creates a duplicate that almost immediately develops a sense of individuality, in which case it is more difficult for the original Madrox to forcibly reabsorb the renegade duplicate. The duplicates also have a low-level telepathic link with each other at all times, but cannot really actually read each other's thoughts, though it may seem like it since sometimes they complete each other's thoughts, and since each duplicate is Madrox, they'll naturally be thinking along the same lines. The link, it only extends to a general sense of another one's presence and a psychosomatic sharing of pain. He can also reabsorb duplicates back into his body through a deliberate thought command. Any Madrox duplicate can recombine with any other upon contact, regardless of if it was the one they split off from in the first place. Apparently, even the slightest bit of physical contact is enough to allow a merger. Continuing from the above example, Jamie is capable of leaving his apartment chain locked by having one dupe in the apartment and one outside, chain locking the door, and then making contact with each other underneath the door frame so that the inner Jamie is absorbed into the outer Jamie. Presently, Jamie seems capable of reabsorbing dupes who are in very close proximity, even without actually touching them. The duplicates dissolve into proto-matter and are recalled into his body in an almost liquid state, from at least a block or two away if necessary. Once merged, the two Jamies then share memories and experiences. According to most accounts, emotional connections do not transfer over during the merging process. When one duplicate departed for a while and ended up falling for Teresa Rourke, aka Siryn, then was later reabsorbed, Madrox Prime was aware of the relationship, but didn't suddenly develop the same feelings for Teresa that his duplicate had. Also, originally, any injuries that Jamie suffered would be averaged by a merging. For example, if a healthy duplicate and a duplicate with a gut shot merge with each other, the single Madrox left would have a gut wound roughly half as serious as the injured duplicate did. He could use this to his advantage by having a healthy duplicate generate multiple copies and then absorbing the injured one into each duplicate in turn, fractioning the injury each time to continually lessen the severity. At present, it seems that reabsorbing an injured duplicate only causes Madrox Prime to experience a psychosomatic version of the pain that they were experiencing. All of the various changes detailed above can be attributed to either a growing development in his power or the shock trauma from his death by the legacy virus back in the 90s. The Madrox who died then was apparently the real Jamie Madrox, and for months afterwards, he existed as a collection of duplicates. However, a new Madrox Prime seems to have asserted himself in the time since his death, and a new development in his power is that Jamie's duplicates now frequently seem to manifest as enhanced versions of his various character traits or emotions: depressed, happy, serious, humorous, and so forth. His duplicates are infertile in the normal sense, but apparently can generate embryonic dupes inside of sexual partners that grow like regular babies in the host. In part via his explorer dupes, Jamie Madrox possesses an eclectic variety of skills. He is trained in human anatomy, Shaolin monk martial arts, meditation and stealth techniques, escapology, stage magic, including throwing playing cards with lethal proficiency, acting, espionage, and first aid. He is a qualified lawyer and speaks fluent Russian and Hawaiian. Jamie Madrox's power manifested when the doctor spanked him at birth, and he wore a special suit designed by both his parents and Professor Charles Xavier for most of his life that insulated him from kinetic energy, preventing him from generating duplicates through accidental impact. It malfunctioned at one point, absorbing ambient electrical energy which increases physical strength, up to class 70 in fact when he drained the entire borough of Manhattan. But modifications were made to the suit by Reed Richards and Charles Xavier, and through training, he overcame that difficulty and gained full mastery over his mutant power, no longer requiring the suit. Some fun facts. Jamie Madrox is one of the few X-Men characters whose first appearance was actually outside of an X-Men title, in his case, a giant-sized Fantastic Four issue. Other characters who follow that trend include Wolverine, Rogue, Sabretooth, and Mystique. Jamie was Moira McTaggart's lab assistant for many years, which beggars the question, did he know that she was a mutant with the power of reincarnation? And he always turned down membership in the X-Men. He was a member of the very first team of Fallen Angels, the ones that came out in 1987, and later became part of the government-sponsored X Factor team, where he was really fleshed out during Peter David's run on the title. He's on Krakoa now and very useful with his duplicates. I like the character. When I first saw him back in the 90s, he was similar to Gambit with that trench coat. And also his origin story. His parents, they're helicopter parents. They made him wear that suit every day when he was a child. He thought it was strange, but never questioned it. And they never told him why either. They just wanted him to not know that he was a mutant. They were later killed in a tornado accident, which caused him to live by himself for many years. And when his suit malfunctioned, that's what led him to New York and encountering the Fantastic Four and Charles Xavier. Okay, now I'm going to explain a few things about the character, starting with the inconsistency of his death from the legacy virus back in the 90s. And the inconsistency is based on the facts at hand and the working knowledge that we do have of Jamie's powers, which have admittedly changed since his return. The story as it originally unfolded was that Jamie generated a duplicate to give mouth-to-mouth resuscitation to a legacy virus-infected mutate in Genosha in X Factor number 91. He then immediately reabsorbed the dupe. Therefore, while it was a duplicate who was initially exposed to the virus, Jamie absorbed it as well soon after. So Jamie Madrox had the legacy virus, not just a duplicate, unless you read into the situation that Jamie Prime was never on Genosha in the first place for that story, which clearly was never the original intent. Later issues show that Jamie settled into becoming a trinity, with 3 Jamies active at any given time: a happy Jamie, an angry Jamie, and a sick Jamie, which was the real Jamie. This was before the random personalities were a common factor for Jamie's duplicates, so it was notable that the Jamies were behaving in markedly different ways. At one point, Jamie even tried to reabsorb the 2 squabbling duplicates but failed. One of them suggested that maybe he didn't really want to be alone right then and there. But in retrospect, I think it's possible that these 2 dupes already existed prior to the Genoshan mission, and that Jamie never reabsorbed them after being infected with the legacy virus in order to keep them healthy, and thus himself healthy. Now, X Factor 100 ended with the death of Jamie, but by this point, the dupes had come to blows with one another. Happy Jamie, he signed on with Haven's crusade, while the angry Jamie stayed with X Factor, and the sick Jamie, he could barely stand up. The 2 duplicates dupes were left fighting each other in Haven's fortress, and when the final confrontation happened and Haven tried and failed to cure the sick Jamie with her powers, the issue ended, and so it was never shown how the death of Jamie Madrox affected all the duplicates in the fortress fighting. and a number of changes have been made to Jamie's powers by Peter David during the Madrox and X Factor series since his return, which makes it difficult to judge what's allowable under his powers. For instance, modern Jamie explicitly generates duplicates out of a type of proto-matter that he reabsorbs. If they're sick or injured, he doesn't absorb their injuries. All he gets is a brief psychosomatic phantom pain of their injury, feels tipsy for a moment if they were drunk, but doesn't actually absorb alcohol into his system, etc. This Jamie, therefore, would not have absorbed the legacy virus from a duplicate. However, classic Jamie would have, as discussed in the Fallen Angels series. Jamie absorbing a dupe with broken ribs would have ended up with ribs halfway towards being healed. The idea of a new Madrox Prime asserting itself didn't have precedent in the old days either, but the recent Multiple Man series explicitly said, this is a thing that happens, so that's not just conjecture anymore. Of course, now there's also statements that Madrox Prime can generate duplicates, when in the past, it's always been that any Jamie can generate more duplicates if they want to. It's right there in the name, Multiple Man. All of his duplicates and Madrox Prime can generate copies, 1 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 8, etc. Anyway, my point with that is this. Jamie's powers have always been inconsistent, although those inconsistencies do seem to be divided into pre- and post periods during his death. And Peter David always said there was a mystery to why Jamie's powers were different during his run, although he never got around to fully explaining it. Now, what's the deal with his mental link with his duplicates? Is it telepathic or empathic? The connection between Madrox and his duplicates is extremely mild. They can't actually communicate telepathically, and Jamie occasionally feels pain if his duplicates are injured and can remotely detect if they've been knocked out or killed. When duplicates were searching the city on one occasion, once one Jamie found what they were looking for, he created a homing instinct that drew them all to one spot, but that's about the extent of it. Are all the duplicates independent-minded, however? Now, earlier, dupes would develop individual personalities or personality traits the longer they remained separate from Jamie and had individual experiences, such as the duplicates who stuck around from X Factor 91 and 100 after Jamie picked up the legacy virus. Occasionally, a dupe would instantly gain individuality just upon splitting and try to remain separate from the whole, but these were the outliers. Starting with the Madrox Limited series in the early 2000s, though, every new dupe immediately manifested as representations of Jamie's stray thoughts or different aspects of his personality. The duplicates, they're independent from the start, so it's kind of a moot point these days. Some dupes instantly decide to act against Madrox and his interests, like the one from the early days of the government-sponsored X Factor, the duplicate who tried to kill him, and the other one from the Madrox Limited series. On the other hand, some dupes remain loyal years after separation, like the ones he sent out to learn different trades on his behalf. In particular, we saw the Shaolin dupe return faithfully to be reabsorbed, despite having clearly followed a different path than Jamie up until that point. It used to be dupes were exact copies of Madrox at the time of separation, and personal independence may have developed later on. Nowadays, they seem to demonstrate variable levels of independence immediately upon separation. Also, all the duplicates have the powers, personality, and memories of Madrox Prime, and they can act without the direct commands from Jamie. They're also formed by extra-dimensional matter instead of purely biological cellular replication. But who are other mutants that might compare to him? Well, there's Al June from Grant Morrison's run on New X-Men. He creates copies of himself as well, but those are just bodies. Rapidly grown clones with no independent thought or action that just act as extensions of his will. There's also Flashback. Flashback, he pulls variants of himself from the future that act as extensions of his will. Then there's the Collective Man. They're Chinese quintuplets who can merge into one being, create a telepathic link between themselves, and enhance their physical and mental attributes by absorbing the psychic energies of the entire population of China. But later, their power mutated. They can transform other people into duplicates of the Collective Man and absorb their bodies and mass to grow to enormous size. But Madrox, he's the original copycat. He wins. Oh yeah, one more thing. In the 2006 X Factor series that was penned by Peter David, Jamie has an affair with his teammate, Siryn, which led to the birth of their son, Sean, who turned out to be just another duplicate of Jamie's. But what caused him to reabsorb Sean when he touched him? Well, the most likely answer is that Jamie was not expecting to be able to absorb Sean, so he didn't guard himself against it. You see, typically, Madrox reabsorbs duplicates from a distance or by touch, so there must be some natural reaction he mentally holds off whenever he's touching a duplicate in order to prevent the reabsorption process when he doesn't want it to happen. It's like grabbing something slippery, like a wet bar of soap. It just slips through your fingers or slips out of your hands. Sure, you can hold on to the soap if you focus on it a little bit, but grabbing it normally without anticipating it being slippery makes it hard to avoid losing your grip. Because Madrox didn't anticipate reabsorption being an issue, he wasn't actively trying to prevent it. However, one of his explorer duplicates, John, the one who became a preacher in the Midwest, married and had a son named Daniel, none of the above explains how, when Madrox Prime met them, he was able to touch Daniel and not absorb him. Though I mentioned earlier that the duplicates are typically infertile, John clearly isn't, and that limit may just apply to Madrox Prime. All right, Shackhousers, that's what I got for you today. Hope you have a good Memorial Day weekend. I'll be doing something then as well, too. So tune in then, and have a good week, and have a good weekend as well, too. Bye-bye. Later.
Mansion, apartment.
Shack, house. Yes!